Hi friends, it's Julie from Plan to Create, and I'm here today to give you a little walkthrough of my planner setup in my Louis Vuitton magenta. This size is equivalent to a Filofax personal size or a Kikki medium. So if you're familiar with those other brands, that will kind of help you equate. It is smaller than a A5, which you are typically seeing me use. You can see that it's just a slight bit shorter and narrower. So to give you a little bit of perspective there. I have these set out here because I wanted to just let you see from first glance, yes, this looks really neutral and simple, but one of my favorite things to do is to add color inside my planner, and these are 6 colors, are colors that you see reappear over and over in my planner in different ways. I color code family members and areas of my life, and I just try to use those on repeat throughout my planner. So I am on the search for like a little bit more interesting dashboard here, but in the meantime I'd love to have something plastic here that just helps protect. I'm not comfortable putting paper up in the front or in the back because I feel like those can get really squished. So this is an acetate sheet of paper. It's from an older Studio Calico planner kit, and so I have that punched in here, and I always cut slits in all of my punched items just so that I can move them around in my planner fairly easily. This little card is also, I don't even have my information on it, but it's from the planner spot. And she always has fun little cards to stick in the sides here, and I actually colored those in with my mouth liners just to give that extra pop to kind of, again, make that statement that, hey, I like the rainbow colors. I don't keep stuff here in my slots. I feel like stickers, anything I'm gonna put there, I just worry that they start to get bent up and destroyed if I'm moving this around a lot. I have used this in the past as my wallet, and I'm contemplating that again, and if that is, then I would definitely have like my debit card and license in there instead of in my wallet. So that is something that is an option. You can see the slits there, and they do fit those cards nicely, but just for right now, it's not working for me like that. And I guess a little disclaimer too, I am a A5 rings girl, pretty tried and true. I only designed inserts for A5 size for a long time, and then I had a lot of requests for personal, and so as I design inserts for the personal size, I feel like it's really important for me to use them. And so you're gonna see in January, I just did a lot of samples and a lot of things like that. But February I started to get a little bit more, the bug was biting me, and I think I'm actually gonna use this planner exclusively in the month of March. So that's the plan right now. We'll see how that all pans out. But I wanted to explain that, like, this is not my primary planner. So in this, you're gonna see some like of my best pages, probably because I am trying to create samples to place on my Etsy shop. But I do just want you to know, like, I'm printing these, I'm testing these, and I'm making sure that they are easy to use so that I can then confidently list them in my shop in this size. So most of these have some type of variation that I also have in my A5, if that makes sense. So anyway, I just recently did this 2020 fold out. I hadn't done these yet for this year, but I had a request, and so I put this together. I like to track my workouts on here, so I have a little color code for the different things I like to do, bar, walk, run, and then I come through and mark what I did each day. And then on the back, normally it's just been blank, but I thought just to make use of it, I would do another year at a glance just with a slightly different format showing the months. So it's like January, February, March, April, May, June, and yada yada. And on here I'm just marking out like travel dates and big trips that we have planned. It's just nice for me to see. It feels like we are so busy these next few months. It does slow down a little bit right now, nothing's planned, but it's good for me to kind of see the comings and goings of everyone as we're all kind of heading in different directions in some of those days. I like to just see it laid out. So I have those all marked out using the mouth liner colors that I use for our family members' color codes. Okay, then you're gonna see I have these dividers. They're clear dividers. They're from Sessa V, and I do like her shop. These are a little bit thinner than some that I've used in the past, and so I do like that. I feel like they don't take up as much space inside my planner, so I'm able to cram a little bit more in, and that's always a good thing. So, and I do like the gold against the darker leather. You'll see recently in my A5 I actually just switched out and I got the black. Can you guys see that? Sorry, the light's gonna be a little tricky. Anyways, I got black writing because I thought that those looked nicer against a light planner. So kind of keep that in mind. If your planner is dark leather, I think a gold or a silver would look nice, but if you have a really light colored planner, they can get lost. And so just that's something that I recently realized. So I'll pass that along. Okay, moving right along. I just like to have a quick month at a glance is like, I love having that peek through my clear divider there. So that's just one of my first pages that I always like to include in my month. I don't do extensive planning on this. I'll kind of mark out some dates, kind of get a feel of how busy the month is. I love to do things that stretch across more than one day here. So again, it's kind of just another variation of this, but it's just right here at the forefront of my month. And then if I want to add little notes, I can about like the events or the dates. I use this a little bit differently every month. I haven't gotten into a solid routine. I know that some of you use this to track exercise or to track bills, upcoming things. I've done that in the past where I've just made sure I noted when certain bills were due and when I needed to take care of those, and then when they were paid. So it's kind of like a free-for-all. You could use it a bunch of different ways, but for me, I just love to kind of set the tone for my month, get a feel for how busy it is, and I'll mention later how I use it kind of for forward planning. You're gonna see I use a lot of stamps, primarily more so than stickers in this particular planner especially. And so I'll try to mention where they're from. If you're familiar at all, I have a lot of these sets from Studio Calico. They're called like their monthly series stamp set. I'm grabbing January and February really quick. So you can see they kind of come with that month, and then they have other little fun sayings that pertain to the month. And so I think it's just a fun challenge to try to find ways to use some of these throughout the month. And I think that they're really cool. They go live the very first of the month. So say the January actually went live to purchase the 1st of December, then the 1st of January. You could buy February, 1st of February, people were buying March. So it's kind of a unique situation, and it's also one that I try to like let people know, if you follow me on Instagram, that they're going live. I try to remind, because they sell out within a day or two generally. These have been pretty popular, and it's kind of a bummer because they're not easy to track down old sets, but I do my best to try to like let those of you know who are trying to collect a whole year's worth. I have the whole year, and they're just really handy to have on hand. So that's what you see a little bit of here, and there you can kind of see I was using some of that January fresh start. I wanted to mention on the back of a lot of my monthlies, I like to include a grid sheet, and I just write little notes. Like here I was trying to keep track of some of like paying my daughter's college, making sure we're transferring money to the right places, and then some other like private notes, yeah, just some calculations of what we actually needed to transfer. So I covered some of that up, but I just wanted to mention that that's very chicken scratchy. It's not decorative or pretty, but I happened to have that out that day and just jotted it there. Then this is called my month on one page fold out. So it's one page, but you get the whole month spread out. And I found like in the personal size, when I first started to try to use this, my biggest complaint was just feeling squished. When you're used to working in an A5, it's really hard, for me anyway, to like squish down into a smaller size. And so one thing I quickly discovered was by using just one set of rings, you're not adding any extra bulk to your planner, because it's still like as if a page was folding out 2 pages, but now it's just folding in this way, and it allows all the extra space by not having that extra set of rings to go down the middle. I hope that makes sense. So I really started to work with this concept of fold outs. It's been a big answer for me in how I've been more interested in the smaller personal size, because it does give me more space, and you're gonna see some variations of that coming up. One thing I discovered that I thought was kind of fun is taking the planner spot icons here, and I just outlined them with like her little dewdrop stickers. I'll try to bring that up a little closer. I just think that that's kind of a fun way to make those pop. I'm looking for some other colors of dewdrops, so if you know of any that are about that size, I think that that would be fun for adding events, again, like color coding them for my family instead of all being gray. And I think that just a white sticker on a white background doesn't always give me the pop I want, but having that tiny little border has been fun. So I thought I'd mention that. And then you can see I just like to keep things pretty clean and simple. I jot down important things only on my month, nothing that like repeats every day, because I don't want it to get too cluttered up, because if it gets too cluttered, then I find like I don't even see any of my appointments. It all becomes white noise to me. So that's kind of an example of a month for me. And then this I was tracking like a 30-day cleanse, and this I had thought about breaking down my weekly tasks. I was really trying to batch work for my my Etsy shop and YouTube and everything, and it just didn't really work out for me that month. So you see some notes, but it's a lot of chicken scratch. Same thing kind of here. I was jotting down the ideas or the videos that I actually wanted to post throughout January. And then here I just create my own little trackers on this grid paper with the mild liners, and this one I was just checking to see if I got all my exercise rings closed for the day. I hit 22 of 31 days in January. That's not stellar, but it was better than last year. So it's just progress, movement in the right direction. Normally I would not have 2 monthly layouts in 1 month, but I definitely was just, again, testing out this particular insert and trying to see, you know, if there's things that I could tweak about it and make sure that things were working okay. And so this is another sample that I did, and then I like to take pictures to put them in my Etsy shop so that people can see them being used, give some ideas. I always try to include what it looks like just coming out of your printer, and then I show what it will look like if you want to use some stickers with it. The beauty of this layout here is that you can use the size, the Erin Condren like Happy Planner size stickers width, because these columns are large enough for that. And so that's just kind of a fun thing. I know a lot of personal size girls would like to use the kits, but it's hard because the pages don't always accommodate it. And so I thought that this would be a fun option, and it's been a pretty popular listing in my shop. But again, you see I just came through here. This is an undated spread, so I just add my dates by using my stamps, and then I just handwrite in. Sometimes I'll use stickers and sometimes I handwrite it in. If I make them small enough, I feel like it doesn't matter. It doesn't look too messy. So one thing that I would say on this particular thing is I definitely always include a lot of grid so you have room to write notes and different things. But I mean, I feel like one thing I'd be curious what you guys would say, I think that this should actually probably move to this spot here so that when it's folded in your planner and you're turning to it, the first thing you see is the month on one page. You don't have to open up to it, but be curious to hear if you guys felt the same way. I don't know if it totally matters, but I kind of think like, to me, this doesn't tell me what this is gonna be, and that would be a better indicator like, it's the beginning of your month, Julie. You know, there's your month on one page. So kind of depends. I could include both options with purchase. It just depends what you guys like. So yeah, and so then I always like to, when I'm moving from my months, I have all of my months set out here, and I like to keep my weeks in between. So it's like starts the section with my monthly view, then I go to weeks, and then I'm back to a monthly view for the next month. When I'm doing a week like this, like a week on 2 page, I like to start it with a grid like this, just to kind of not have the back of this week here. Does that make sense? Because otherwise if you printed them front and back, that's what would happen. So I just am really careful when I'm printing my inserts out that I always include one that will have a grid on the front and the very back so that I can kind of bookend my inserts. These are like my hourly week on 2 page for personal size. So they're very small little columns. This does have no fold out, so it doesn't entirely maximize the space. But I felt like when I was using this with the hourlies, it was really fun, and I would just block off the chunks of time by assigning my mild liner colors to the, to whatever events they were. It worked out a lot better than I thought, and I was surprised because I didn't think that this would be like usable, but it really felt like it was. You can see really faint hours on there. I have from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and those green dots along the bottom are my hydration trackers. That'd be like 8 glasses of water a day. You know, if I was drinking enough. Obviously I drank nothing that week, so that's just awesome. But yeah, I used some stamps and a lot of mild liners here, and then occasionally just throwing in a little sticker. I think that that's kind of, been a really easy way to plan in this size. Not worried about like big chunky stickers. And the one thing I would say is on this, there's not really room for checklists. And so that is part of why I wanted to print this on the side, on the one side. I know some people, I've seen you guys grid week on 2 page, and then like a grid here again, grid week on 2 page, so you're getting a little bit more use and more space to write notes and things like that. But I'll just keep flipping here, week 2. If you guys have any questions, you see something, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm happy to go back and address it, but I don't want to get into too much detail here because we're only at week 3. We got several to go. So I did a lot of these pretty much the same way, and some of this I was just kind of planning alongside with my A5, so it's not maybe as detailed, just kind of wanting to trudge through there. Again, here you'll see that I backed it that final week like that with the grid, and this is just happens to be like a shopping list for me and some things to do, but I used those cute stamps from the Studio Calico set to put those to work. And now we just move into a slightly different, in January I released hourlies in tons of different sizes. So this was the one size, just the week on 2 page hourly. And this one is a week on 1 page wide. So that means that it's wider columns. And so you're getting the ability to use the Erin Condren width stickers here in this wider set. These go from 7 to 6 p.m. because I just included p.m. at the bottom instead of actually making it a number 7. Like instead of it being 7 o'clock, I just said p.m. So it's kind of general. It could be an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock appointment, whatever you would have. This does have a nice sidebar on the left to house lists. I do some tracking over there, and then just again stamp out my dates. And you can see how the different ways I use my liners to block off time. Sometimes I just use little task marks, sometimes I do solid, and just some stamping and cute little stickers from the Coffee Monster Co. that just pop in there and are super cute. I have some there too. Okay, then I had a daily sheet that I also released in January, and I did not do any dailies in January aside from this one, and this was just like a real sample for my shop. I did a few January dailies in my A5, and I'm just gonna plan on doing some more in March when I move into this planner. Here I have just like a divider. Not entirely sure it's necessary, and I'm kind of funny like that. I don't want to have things in here that aren't necessary. I want the important things in here, and so this is on the chopping block. It's like, it's cute, but is it necessary? I don't know. But then moving into February, this is that fold out again, but I did have someone request the month on one page front this, and I thought that was an awesome idea. I don't know if I've officially changed the listing in the shop yet, but if that's something, like if you purchase this and you would like to have this on the front, just send me a convo in Etsy and I'd be happy to get that file to you. But this is again a very simple, clean layout. I have like one sticker on here that I wanted to let it just get the attention, so I left everything else very plain, only did some appointments. Again, the events that stretch across a few days, usually travel or something like that, I always just use my mild liner to just simply go across. And that's it. Then this is what it would come with, like, is the month on one page or the grid. I think maybe it was just coming with the grid before that you could customize, but if you, like I said, if you want that version, let me know. And then here's just grid and a perfect spot to house lists and awesome things like that. I love this washi, and I love these colors that I've kind of set out to use throughout February, so it's really fun to just customize, and I feel like that's just what I love to do, is to make my planner look really unique to me, and like stamps and stickers obviously help us do that, so those are just fun tools. Oh, here this month, I mentioned that How to Buy My Love. That was one of these stamps in the February set, How to Buy My Love, and I first looked at that and thought, what? But then I was like, okay, I'll just make it a joke, like, you know, my little wish list of items that I'd actually want. And it's something that Ashley Elise inspired me, because she kind of jots down the things that she is wishing for, and instead of just impulsively buying them, you know, if you're still wanting it in 4 days, and then you can decide then, or in a week or two. This is kind of an effort at slowing my roll a little bit and giving a little bit of time between the desire to buy and the actual purchase. So then you'll see I did clip these. So when I printed these, I went ahead and printed these back to front, front to back. And so I have the same things kind of going on the backs. I don't need this like here. And so I actually had clipped it to this previous sheet so that they would kind of turn together. So like I would have this flip out, come, and then start straight here. And I wanted to explain this. This was a custom order from Genevieve, and I thought it was so cool because she set it all out. It's kind of like, well, she was using it differently, but I decided to use it just to set off, like, what does an ideal week look like in my life? So here's the days of the week, and then she divided it into all these different categories. So for me, I decided, like, what are the appointments that I have or that I normally schedule on those days? What would I do for fitness on those days? What are tasks that I need to take care of at home? And what are things that I need to get done for work? And for me, this was just a really good exercise to sit through and think about what I am scheduling. Am I scheduling everything like on Mondays or Tuesdays? Like, can I pace it out? Can I maybe not do an exercise class that takes an hour and a half on a day that I need to be working? You know, things like that are kind of the things I'm trying to balance out, and this was a good exercise for me. This is something I would encourage you to do. I'm thinking about potentially printing this on, like, kind of figuring it out so that I could have it printed right on the back of a month, so that it would start right here instead of having that notes page there. I would actually have the notes page switch to be the back of this, so it would be like this big full monthly conglomerate spread, and I could actually do this exercise and reevaluate every month to just make sure that I'm really actually on track. I kind of have classes that I like to take with certain instructors at bar 3, and so I'm trying to balance, like, finding the classes that I want to take with the right instructors, and like then truly how's that affecting my schedule. Is it like taking a class at 10:45 the best thing I can actually do in order to keep, you know, on track with my work tasks and life. So I'm just kind of balancing that out, and this was just, again, like an exercise I'd recommend. We're just gonna go into the weeks. I kind of start my week here with a task list, and then I move into a week on 2 pages. This is again, it's like that hourly one that I had before, but just doesn't have any lines or hours. So you're completely flexible to do whatever you wanna do. I tried to show this week, like I often use my cute little meal plan stamp, but I tried to show like I just used a simple star, and like that was my exercise, and then I just used little hearts to do meals. Like sometimes we get stuck in looking for the exact right stamp, but I think, you know, a little cute solid stamp can hold a place for just about anything. So I wanted to show that versatility there. But I do, something that I have learned over the years is just keeping those things kind of on the same place on your page. From week to week, I think it helps train your brain where to find the information. It keeps things really consistent, and it also looks nice, I think, to have it all kind of grouped in the same areas. So just something to consider. And then yeah, I just used some simple stickers. Again, the Coffee Monster Co. planner spot. These are from Knockout Print Shop. And then I just used some simple washi strips here instead of mad liners to jot down things that took a little bit longer. So very simple, but kind of gets my week laid out for me, and so I can kind of see if there's conflicts or things that are overlapping or things that I need to consider. You could definitely roll right into the next week, just back to back. You don't need to have this space of grids, but I was rolling into a different style, so I did it that way. And this style is that double wide fold out like the month, but it's just a week. So you have all this space just for 1 week. You can use all the big wider stickers that you want. Tons of room to write. I always cut slits, so when I'm writing or jotting things in here, I typically am grabbing them out of my planner and then quickly sticking them back in. Occasionally, I'll do like a fold over and try to write like that. Doesn't always work out as well. So these are just plain grids that I feel like can be used for tracking or lists. I think it's kind of nice to hide ugly lists on the back of the pages, so that's kind of part of what I'm doing there. But I'm also open to ideas. Some of you guys have the best ideas, and I love to implement them. So if like a plain grid is just not quite exciting enough for you, let me know. One of the things that I did this month though in releasing those task lists is to create kind of like a to-do, cleaning, and meals. I don't know if you guys can see, it's super faint, but there are those headings here. And so that is an option that you can use on the back of these. It's also something that I have available like just to print on individual sheets. So check them out, there's different variations. But I also have ones that are just blank that say to do here, but don't have any headers here, so that you could use these trackers for anything, not just cleaning and not just meals. I know it was Chacon, is it Chaconi? You were just doing gratitude here in this section, and I thought that was a brilliant idea. I want to try that in a week or so here. So yeah, totally, hopefully customizable. That's my whole goal, is to always keep these open and like flexible enough that you don't feel locked into a certain habit that you don't even want to track, you know? I don't like that feeling. So the next week here is coming up, and I already went ahead and did this, and I just kept it, again, really simple, but I wanted to show how much you can do, like, you know, using smaller stickers and maybe some stamps in these narrower columns. So this is kind of similar to that month on 1 page fold out, but it's actually a week. And so just Monday to Sunday. I do split the weekends on these because it gives a little bit more space. Otherwise they'd be even narrower, and I feel like a little bit harder to work with. So that's kind of my thought process there. Again, hydration, and then just maybe listing the top 3 things that I really want to get done each of those days. This is a new set though that I don't think I have mentioned, and so I will. It's a beautiful script set, month to month, from the Stamp Market. I loved it. As soon as I did it there, I was like, okay, I'm doing it there, I'm doing it everywhere. It's so pretty. So that was a fun one to test out this month. And again, this is kind of like I was saying before, this doesn't have a to-do written here like the previous had. So that says to-do, cleaning, and meals, and this one is just blank. And so you could see how you can just use it totally however you want. And then of course you can stamp up here or decorate, stickers, washi, anything you want to do. But basically any insert comes with all the variations of the blanks or the headings, so that you can test them out and try them out. And you're not having to purchase this one and then try to purchase this one. I just include them all the different options there for you. There's that. And then this is probably one of my favorite week on one-page fold-out options. I think that this is nice to be able to flip between your week like this, but you still get all that space. You're not quite doing the double fold-out, but you have one nice big fold-out that allows you to have a 1 week here on one page. Again, I always take these out to like prepare and get them all decorated. This is a Happy Planner sticker that I'll link the actual sticker book I have, but I was like, oh, does that fit? And it did like perfectly. So I was like, okay, I just have to try that because it's fun. There are lines under there already, so it's not necessary, but it was really pretty just to see those colors kind of repeat. So these are, again, the stamps from the stamp market. And then these are like my new favorite. They are called This Life, and it's these numbers, and then the 2020 that is really little there is right here. I love this set. Like I love big old chunky numbers and alphabets, so I can't get enough of those. I thought that those were a really fun size too, because while they're bold and big there, I think when you use them in a light color, it's pretty like fun statement without being like too crazy. So that's kind of February. I still have those weeks to come and to fill out. And then I just have, primarily in this planner, I don't think I'm going to be using this for much else. I may throw in a section like for notes, but primarily this is just calendaring for me. And so I do have the rest of the months of the year, and I'll kind of flip through them because I just wanted to show you what I did. I just took that month on one page and printed that. And the file comes with this grid on the back. And so what I did is I just divided this out kind of like into weeks so that it would be like 4 major weeks of that month. And I may come back and actually add the dates, but I kind of already estimated. I didn't write it all out, but I knew that my daughter's birthday was this week and that this week it's spring break. So I kind of added those notes in. I think that that's nice because it kind of helps me think ahead. Like, so this is this week. Well, then I need to make sure I have her gifts or anything else ready by here, you know, just kind of helping me think a little bit ahead. I mentioned that I'm not doing any dailies, or I didn't really do any dailies in January and February, but because I want to use this planner throughout March, I went ahead and tucked these dailies. I always just keep them behind this pink ruler. This is from an old Studio Calico planner kit as well. And I just have a bunch of dailies printed out. So I have those ready to go. The idea behind these is that I can really get down and dirty if I want to like map out my entire day, or I can kind of get creative and play in the open space with stamps. You can get really down to brass tacks, or you can just have fun with these. And I intend to swing back and forth between those. Little room for a task list there as well. And then I just would mention that I have some that have the days of the week up there, and then in the same purchase I just have some blank ones too, in case you prefer that and don't want to like circle your date or whatever like that. And then here we go. I'll kind of quickly flip you through the rest of the year, but you can see I just have the months ready to go. Anytime we had like a big trip or something else coming up, my son's graduation, so I have those kind of jotted down as notes. And I just used this simple set. It's using this months and years. I just consistently use that from month to month so that that would always be the same. And the whole point of this is kind of, for me, is more of like a forward plan, a place to land and kind of get a feel for what's coming up. When the month arrives, I may just switch it and decide to do one of those fold-outs instead. I could also have totally printed, like this would have been a really good option to print this, have this handy, you know, do a lot of pre-planning here, and then actually when the month comes, fill this out, and then I could have that simple, this on the back that would break it down by week. There's just so many options. I just went ahead and did this one page. It also doesn't keep it very bulky. As a month is over, someone asked me that recently. Like, I have January and February in here now, that it's February right now. When March comes and starts, I will probably remove January. So I'll always have like 2 pretty full active, like the current month and 1 month back to just refer to. But these I will put down in a drawer down below me that I can access if I need to, but they're not handy at my fingertips here in my planner. So that's one of the ways that I manage the bulk. But another way I manage bulk is by just having a 1-page insert here in the future months so that it's not super bulked out, but I can literally plan my month and my weeks roughly just to get an idea. So that's kind of how that worked. I just used the mild liner that I have that kind of coordinates with my ink color and did that consistently from month to month. So that is a very simple, you know, walkthrough. You can see that I'm primarily just calendar. A lot of you have different, you know, you have a calendar section, but then you have a lot of others. But keeping in mind that I'm kind of coordinating this with my A5, then I don't necessarily feel the need to duplicate all of my sections in my A5 here, because I'm still you know, having both access to both, and that works well for me. So this has just been really fun to play in. I will say, like, I think just my husband and I are borderline empty nesters, so the less I have to track for other people, the less I have to put on my pages, and so like kind of the less room I need. So that's why I think that maybe this is starting to work for me a little bit better. Before, when I was tracking my daughter's volleyball and my son's football and it was just too much to try to squeeze here. But now it's just different for us in our stage of life. So that could contribute to why this is working a little bit better for me now. I hope that that kind of gives you an idea of some of these inserts. I feel like I've neglected the personal size, and I know a lot of you use personal size and you're purchasing them on Etsy. So I hope that this gives you a glance at them kind of in real life. You know, sometimes the pictures don't do it justice. And so that's part of the intention for me in sharing this, is to give you guys some ideas of how you can bring life to these inserts and make them work for you in your planner. And as always, like, if you think of something that you could do to tweak these, I love it when you guys reach out to me with those ideas, because you may represent someone else's same frustration. So trust me, I'd love to hear it. And if you present it nicely, it's even better. But if there's something that you're like, you know, this would work even better if, for sure let me know, because you just never know that that could actually be the answer to someone else's problems too. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that was informative. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. And if you'd like to see more personal size, or you have a specific insert that you would like to see me walk through in a plan with me, please comment below and let me know. I am planning on sharing the A5 smaller column plan with me, because I know that some of you requested that, would like to see how that kind of works. And so that's kind of next on my slot. But if you guys have any requests, Jeannie, I know that you wanted to see me put together that double wide fold, the monthly double wide fold. So if this helped you, you know, see it just like how I'm using it, but if you'd actually like to see it, you know, planned with me, let me know that too, because I know you'd asked about that. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me. If you haven't yet had a chance to subscribe and you would like to see more content from me, please take a minute to do that. I appreciate it. And as always, just happy planning, and I'll catch you next time. All right, thanks guys.